Is that a position then, if you could get 8 to 10 points out of it, you'd be real happy with then?
It kind of depends. I'm not so much worried about the points coming out of the position, because I think with Bryce being 10% better, Malik 10% better, Marty 10% better, TP 10% better, they're going to score points. I'm more concerned about who understands what role they have to play. If it's Cameron, then he's more of a point guard, distributing the ball and doing things of that nature, defending and doing those things, and scoring won't be the premium that's needed from him. If it's Drew Viney, he might be a guy that sits in there that we say, Drew, we want you to sit out on that perimeter and shoot the ball because he can really, really shoot the basketball, and maybe it is more scoring out of him and rebounding out of him. If it's Franz or Ray or Mitch, it might be more defense and rebounding coming out of position. And if it's Jovan, it might be a little bit of both. So it isn't necessarily saying maybe a combination between 2 or 3 out of that position. If they could get those 10 to 12 points, that would be okay. But one guy doesn't have to account for 10 or 12 points out of that position. Isn't it?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Is McKendrick in that next two?
He's in it, and for that spot, again, you're looking at it as a who's that other starter, and I look at it as who's in that rotation. And I need not so much just one starter. I probably need about 4 guys, that starter and 3 or 4 others to be in that rotation is what I'm looking at. And I didn't think we had that last year. I didn't feel comfortable going that deep last year. I think I'm going to feel comfortable enough going that deep this year.
So the guys are still doing the same track conditioning that they did last summer, or?
They'll probably tell you they're doing a little bit more. So they're out there now. So they wanted to know if they're going to get the day off because it was media day. So we told them no.
Is Viney the kind of guy that's a green light shooter?
Yes, yes. And with the way we play, they're all green light shooters. They just need to understand shoot shots you feel like you can make. And that's the comfort zone, I think, of our system that we put these guys in. But he's definitely a green light shooter. He can really shoot the basketball. And deep.
He's got
Unlimited range.
unlimited range.
Deep.
He's like Juan Porter when I asked him last year where did he feel comfortable at shooting the ball? And
He could shoot it as deep as Tuan, only you're looking at a guy that's 6'7", 6'8", and very, very, very skilled. And I think in Drew's case, it's more of an adjustment to how hard you have to work at this level to be successful and everything. That's probably been the biggest shock to his system so far, whereas Cameron Brown, coming out of modern day, he was a little bit further along in understanding how hard you have to work and being able to handle that adjustment and everything. So I've been pleased, really pleased with Cameron, but pleased with Drew as well too, in terms of being 2 freshmen. Kendrick and Jovan, again, those are 2 guys that they know your program now. It's going to be nice to see what they bring to the table without having to think and be robotic and practice and everything, and just go out and play. As is, Franz is going to be a guy that a little bit more of, he's going to think himself through things right now because he doesn't know a lot of what we do terminology-wise and all those things.
What are you looking at replacing Aaron at that end of the floor? I was going to my next question. Defensively, how are you going to replace him? Are you going to do anything different as far as scheme?
It'll be easier to replace him at the defensive end of the floor because at that end of the floor, everybody is kind of like a robot. You want them to look the same, act the same, rotate the same. The rules are the same. They know what they need to do, and they should be pretty much all look the same when you look at them, when you see them on film. It's the other end of the floor will be very difficult replacing him because he hit big shots, after big shot, and he had a lot of confidence. He has a lot of game, particularly with the way we play in our system, how we spread people out. He was very, very difficult to guard, and he created a lot of scoring opportunities for people. But defensively, Cameron Brown, Kendrick, Jovan, those are excellent. Franz, those are excellent defenders that can defend not only the post, but and Franz and Jovan, they can go out and defend the perimeter even with their size and everything else. So that'll be a little bit more easier at that end.
Ernie, could you size up the Pac-10 conference? Did you see it this year?
Ooh. Ooh. It's good.
Yeah, I know.
It's real good.
Yeah, I know
It's the best I have seen it since I've been here in terms of the balance and how good it is. It's been picked by everybody out there so far in the media on that national scene has picked it the #1 conference in the country. It was picked that way last year for the most part, and for some reason as we started getting closer to March Madness, we weren't as #1 as we were. Other conferences are sneaking up there, but it seems like everybody is all summer long has just talked about the Pac-10, how deep it is with the potential of 8, 9 teams sitting there in tournament play. There's going to be 5 or 6 of us ranked in the preseason, all those things that have been out there. It is a very, very strong basketball conference, and it should be mixed for just some very exciting basketball games. I think the fact that every school had great recruiting classes coming in. Everybody's got players that are nationally known players in that too, and I think it's going to draw a lot of interest in this conference with the caliber of playing this year.
Who would you consider the top two or three teams?
Well, I think with UCLA having gone to 2 back-to-back Final Fours, I mean, and they're one of the best defensive teams in the country the last couple of years. Even though losing a follow, they gained Kevin Love. I don't know how much they're going to drop off. I really don't, because I think they're a very good team. They understand what they need to do, and they have very, very good personnel as well. Arizona had a very good recruiting class that's coming in. They're young, but they're extremely talented. Washington, I think you're going to see a rejuvenation out of them, because I think they can get back to their style of play that they've played before, now that Spencer's down in the middle, and they were very, very effective with that style, and they used to get up the lane on everybody defensively as well. I think Arizona State is a very good basketball team with their personnel that was sitting out last year, and all their close games and what they went through. It's just a matter of understanding how to win those close games and the ability to do that. SC had a great recruiting class, but I'm naming off all of them because they're all good. Washington State is just loaded sitting there. I mean, they lose the one kid in the middle, Crosby, but they've got everybody back. Crosby? No. What's his name? Big kid in the middle. JC transfer that left them last year, graduated. You're supposed to know that. Anyhow, they got everybody back, and those 2 kids, Weaver and Lowe, had a great experience with USA basketball this summer as well too. But I think this conference is going to be, it's just going to be loaded. It's going to be a tough basketball conference.